All right, thank you, Mike. Great to have everybody back. Certainly a exciting time for us. We can't wait for Sunday. It's been a long, fun camp. Guys have really gotten better, and we're really looking forward to this matchup, without a doubt. Getting to do something that hasn't been done here, open the season here at a Sunday night in front of the eyes of the country is going to be a great thing for our team, our fan base, our recruits. I know our athletic department has planned a lot of great things here around this Sunday game, and so I think it's just going to be a great thing for our entire community. And so we're certainly looking forward to it, and then add on top of that, getting a chance to play a really good team in Houston, a team that, like us, is going through some changes. Obviously, with new head coach, a guy we're all familiar with, and Dana Holgerson, fantastic coach. And know that he'll do a great job at Houston. Everything with them, as you look at them, even though it's new schemes, offensively and defensively, when you look at them, it all starts with the quarterback. Quarterback's a fantastic player. Easily one of the best quarterbacks in the country. He's certainly a dual threat guy that can make all the throws, but certainly can scare you with what he can do with his legs as well. And so, trying to limit him in some form or fashion will certainly be a key to the game for us defensively. He's fantastic. He could play just about anywhere, and very familiar with his career growing up in Houston. And obviously, all the great job he's done. Was having a phenomenal year last year before he was injured there at the end of the year. But certainly a tremendous player that I know they'll build around. And they certainly have some outstanding skill around him too. Several of that conference's top returning receivers coming back, guys that really pop on tape, and very athletic on the front. Defensively, lost quite a bit from last year's group. Brought in a new defensive coordinator from Arkansas State. They're very, very productive there. Guy was certainly one of the, if you'd say, top kind of hot names as far as coordinators around the country. He was certainly one of the guys prominently on that list, and returned two safeties that are very, very good players. A couple of guys in the interior that played, especially as they had some injuries early in the year. So we're going to see a different group there. Also a group that's littered with transfers kind of from all over the place. So a lot of new players, and in addition to new schemes. So this game, like a lot of other firsts, is going to be. It's going to be about adjustments. There's going to be things on both sides of the ball. Obviously, us doing some new things schematically on defense, them having new schemes on both offense and defense. There's going to be some surprises. That's part of first games. You understand that. We're used to that. Our guys have got to be ready to have a great week of practice, and certainly be excited as hell to go play this game, because it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a tremendous atmosphere here Sunday night, and so we can't wait to get started.
Start with Al. What's your expectations for your defense this year, Lincoln?
I wouldn't start into the year now. We've got expectations on how we can play here in the beginning. I expect us to play well, but I also know to build this thing the way we want to build it, it's going to be a process. I got asked about it this morning on the teleconference, and it was. I compared it to, and I know I have this process a lot, to when we came in 2015 on the other side of the ball, and we weren't very good there in the beginning. And I'm not saying that's where we're going to be right now. I think we have plenty of capability to be very good right now, but it's a process. When it's year one, it's going to be about consistent improvement. So you certainly want to go get off to a great start. We got a big-time challenge ahead of us here in Houston offensively, but we want to go get off to a great start. And then the key for us to reach the goals and be as good as we think we can be towards the end of the year is just going to be game-by-game improvement, and that's what we'll have to have.
Along those lines, a couple of years ago, I guess last year, you saw some real good results early on in the season defensively, and part of that was maybe who you were playing. This team, like you said, they pop offensively. They've got dangerous players in various positions. If they do have a big day offensively, Houston I'm talking about, and your defense does show some of the same things that happen, is it like too early to panic? You see what I'm saying? Everybody got on the board last year early. Is it game one? Is it too early?
Everybody. That's game one. Whether doesn't matter if they go well, don't go well. It's going to be the one thing you can guarantee is it's going to be complete overreaction by the public on every part of it. So that's just the nature of the beast that we deal with. For us, Houston certainly is, I think, fair to say, more of a challenge offensively than what we saw in our non-conference last year. I don't think there's any doubt about that, especially with the quarterback. I mean, he's a game changer for them. But we're going to go play this one as hard as we can, and then we'll get ready for the next one.
Jamie Carlson.
Lincoln, you talk about consistency with the defense over the year, something you'd like to see. But coming out of this game, if it's not overreaction, you want to fight against that after one game, what are some of those hallmarks you'd like to see out of your defense after Sunday night?
Oh, I think the normal game one things, and honestly, regardless if you've had a system for 10 years or if this is year one of how do we communicate, I think that's going to be very important against a group like this that we know is going to have the ability to go up tempo. How do we tackle? That's always a game one deal for anybody and everybody. Anybody that watched that game the other night can see the value in that. And then I think, how do we fly around and with that create turnovers or negative plays? That's been a big emphasis for us, and it was a big emphasis in bringing, this group in here that we did, and we know how important that is in this day and age in football. And so we need to do those things. I'm not going to say we're going to do them at a end-of-season level, but we expect to do those at a high level on Sunday.
Okay, Bill Haston.
Lincoln, in the going into the season, do you feel like you know what the Jalen Hurts offense will look like, or will there be his first 3 games a lot of learning and adjusting as you go?
Probably a little bit of both is the most fair answer. I mean, get an idea of what we think it's going to look like in the beginning, but it'll evolve. It'll evolve as Jalen evolves. It'll evolve as our other positions on offense do. It'll evolve as we see how people are going to play us and what we feel like we need to do to attack them. So, we've got a good idea going into this first one, but it always changes each and every year, and that's the fun in it.
How much did it evolve, like in September last year, or did you come out of camp knowing that Murray could execute everything you asked him to do?
I have a pretty good idea of what he could execute, but I would say as he got more comfortable as the year went on, we were able to certainly do more and more, both him and just the whole group combined. And the quarterback is a big part of it, but there may be things that a quarterback can execute that maybe your other guys aren't ready to too. And the answer for us is if we think it's a good way to attack somebody and we feel like all 11 can do it, then it's good for us. Certainly the quarterback figures in that, but he's not the only factor.
Cliff Brunt.
Coach, why do you not put out a depth chart before your opener? Is that strategic, or is that just to deal with things are still being decided?
No, not strategic. Just, once again, this is a big week for us. We've still got some position battles going on. We've got certainly some spots where we're going to have multiple guys play, and haven't made some decisions yet on starters. Even in a couple of positions, we've still got as many as 3 guys that could play and play a majority of the game. So it's just to give us as coaches a better chance to evaluate it and then hopefully give you guys something a little bit more accurate midweek.
James Hale.
Lincoln, do you know what freshmen are definitely going to play for you this year yet?
We've got an idea. The 4-game deal is a factor in that, because even potentially even some guys that maybe do end up redshirting could play early, and so we've got some guys kind of earmarked in the back of our mind that if we had to make a decision today on if they were going to redshirt or not, what we would do with them. But like we kind of talked about last year, this is more of an ongoing conversation as the year goes on, both the strategy on how they can help your team, the strategy on do you, at the end of the day, want to redshirt this guy, or do you know that you're not going to be able to. It's just it's a little bit more free-flowing than it used to be. So I think we're going to have a number of guys that are going to be in position to contribute if they can continue to improve and on some of the things they've done in fall camp.
Chris Bella.
Yeah, Lincoln, when it comes to the guys like in their 4th year program, coming back, injury, a lot of people start to write them off. What does it say about Jordan Parker, Chance Sylvie, why they battled back and can still be difference makers?
It's important for us right now for a lot of reasons. again, I've always said great teams, your older players have got to play the best ball of their lives, and you can't replace that. And so those guys have both had a tough road at times here. They both had some really bright moments. They both had some tough moments, certainly with the injuries. And so yeah, having them back, it's great for our team. It's two experienced players, two good players. I think it's really important now with where we're at defensively too, especially in the secondary, to have two experienced guys that have been in it, and they've both been extremely positive and good leaders, good role models as we've made this change defensively. And so I'm happy for both those two guys to get their opportunity. They've certainly earned it, but it's just as important for this team as it is for them individually.
Yeah, hi, Lincoln. Perspective question, if you don't mind. I remember the day that you succeeded Bob, and there was just such a feeling of wow, this is really happening. And I think you kind of took that even into your first season as coach. Or a lot of times we'd ask you, how does this feel? How does is this interesting? And
Right.
I'm just trying to get a sense of how, from then to now, this really does feel like your baby. I mean, Bob still hangs over this place a little bit, of course, but he's moved on to another job. He's got a book out, and it's just the passage of time. It just feels like, you know what I mean? You're going to say you took ownership probably pretty quick. I get that, but just perspective as opposed to those first few moments, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels different than the beginning. Certainly, that everything was new for me at that point. And as far as I feel more. I always felt comfortable in it. It feels more, like I said, just more normal. There's not as many surprises now with the job. As far as perspective on the ownership of it, that doesn't really feel any different. I mean, I just don't think of it that way. It's all of our baby. I mean, it's all the staff that do all the things behind the scenes. It's the players that have been here, the players that are here now, the fans, the people that support us. I mean, it's all of our baby. It's not. This is way bigger than one person's deal, and I get somebody's got to be the head of it, but that doesn't mean it's theirs. And so I still just got to see myself as a cog in the machine, and just that I'm just trying to do my role the best for it. I just don't see it as, and Bob taking the job in the XFL or writing a book or being around or not being around has never had any impact on my thoughts on that. I mean, I'm thankful that he's playing in the spring so he can keep being around, us right now. So that's just part of how it's supposed to be here, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But I don't feel ownership of it. I feel more comfortable in the job, a little bit smoother, as you've done some of the things and experienced it a little bit. But it's still kind of the thrilling daily fight that it was a couple of years ago. That doesn't feel like it's changed at all.
Can you say that you put your stamp on any aspect of the program in particular? I think people go to recruiting and just the energy you brought to that. And I don't know if it's just most obvious to folks, but
I just think as a staff, we always try to continue to reevaluate ourselves, and that's the only way you keep getting better. The one answer I always tell guys in the staff room, the one answer I hate is, well, let's do this because this is how we've always done it. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. You either do something because it's the best or you don't. And so we do constantly reevaluate. We have, as a staff, we have made some changes. As administration, that we've made changes or they've backed us. And so there have been things that have evolved, but I don't feel like it's a personal stamp. I just feel like it's us. It's our job to continue to evolve and make this place the best we can be, and that's just what we try to do.
Yeah, Lincoln, they were talking about consistency on defense earlier. If there is a big play that happens, how do you kind of, as coaching staff, kind of get them to not even players overreact in that situation? Oh, here we go again, type deal.
Yeah, it's a different time, and it's I've talked about from day one with Alex, the reason why I wanted to hire him was most importantly the mentality that he helps instill in our defensive players, and so that's that mentality, that wasn't all coach speak. You know, that's for real life situations, and those come up in games. Tough things are gonna happen. I don't care who you are, how great you are on one side of the ball or another. Tough things are gonna happen, and part of your mentality is how you respond to those things. So all that preaching that we've been doing, all the things that we've been pushing with our guys, we get some real life game situations here Sunday night to show that. And so I'm eager to see, you know, us show our mentality, and a lot of times that's when you need it the most, is when adversity hits.
Coach, wondering if you learned anything or were reminded of anything in watching those two games this weekend, and if there were things that you can take from that and teach your players with.
Yeah, no, there certainly is. There's some great examples in both of those. I mean, clock management, I mean, you know, poor tackling, penalties. I mean, there was the Florida-Miami game was, I mean, you could literally just take that and do about 3 team meetings with that. Every coach in America probably is right now. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff. I mean, the effort and all that was off the charts, but then the turnovers, the penalties, all the situational stuff at the end was great to learn from. So, yeah, there's nothing like new games. I mean, we constantly harp on that, but it's great for them to be able to see it in action and a week ahead of before you get started. So certainly some great lessons there.
Go to the right, Tyler Holmes here.
Lincoln, in the past, Mike obviously was up in the box, and you're going to get Alex down on the sidelines now. What's that going to be like for you? You are kind of an emotional guy at times on the sidelines, as I guess everybody is, but what does that add to you guys, having an extra coach on the field, and what do you think about just having, you know, your defensive coordinator down there with you?
Yeah, it fits. I don't know that philosophically I feel like there's a cookie cutter answer that they should be up top or should be down. I think it's the staff you have around you, and do you have people up top that you know can get you the information that you need, because that's critical. You have to have that to be able to make adjustments, or if, you know, something's hurting you, to know where it's at, or if you have a leak somewhere, to know how to plug it. And so we feel like the staff sets up that way. And then again, going back to the mentality thing, just because of how important we believe that is, Alex being on the field, you know, in those moments, to be able to look our guys in the eye is extremely important to us.
You don't have much of a choice as a head coach, I guess, can't be up in the box, but how much more beneficial from a X's and O's standpoint is that, just being able to look at it like Alex calls it a video game?
Yeah, it's from an X's and O's standpoint, it's helpful. I mean, there's no question about it. It is. You got to decide, you know, do you feel like you have enough on the mentality side on the field? You know, and that was, when I got the chance to call plays, that was always the thing that kept me on the field. Schematically, I really wanted to be up there, but it kept hitting at me that if something goes wrong, I want to be able to look them in the eye. You know, and if we can get that part of it right, then we'll cover up if we have a X's and O's, you know, gaff or something like that. We'll get past it. But if the mentality's not right, it don't matter what the X's and O's are. So that was the thought process behind it, and is with Alex as well.
Jason Kersey.
Yeah, Ed Lincoln. Last year, Jalen knew he was the backup. Probably could have, if he'd wanted to, with the redshirt rule, the transfer portal, said I'm not going to play more than 4 games.
Right.
Have 2 years. The fact that he didn't do that, what does that say about him? And secondly, do you, at any point, wish you had 2 years with him?
What it says about him, I mean, he's a team guy. You know, he is certainly a team guy. He's shown that since he got here. You know, I can't speak too much about the time at Alabama because I wasn't there. But yeah, I mean, I just getting to know him. He wanted to do that for his team. I mean, he's kind of he's either all in or all out kind of guy, and he was all in with that team. And I don't think it really ever crossed his mind much. And then, yeah, would I want to have 2 years with him? Yeah, sure, definitely. Would love to, but you know, it's all hypothetical now. So we'll have one good one.
Does that 4-game rule, though, create any awkward situations with players, you know, knowing they're not going to start, so then they maybe start to think about those
Sure.
things? Do you have those conversations?
We have them, but they're not awkward because it's the rules. It's real life, and this is these guys' career, and so you got to be willing to talk to them about it. I mean, that's I mean, players are going to think about their careers and what's best, and I mean, who could blame them? And so we try to take the awkwardness out of it, and we openly talk about it in team meetings. We've got open door policy with me and our other coaches to come visit about it, because we can put our head in the sand and pretend like they're not thinking about it and act like it's not there, or we can address the issues that we know are there. And so, you know, I'm not saying some of the conversations haven't been tough with that, and I'm not saying there's always a clear-cut right answer, but the lines of communication with our players here at Oklahoma are wide open, and there's never not going to be anything that we won't discuss. And there's, you know, you always hope on decisions like that you can match up, and what's best for the team is also best for the individual player. That's not always the case. I mean, we dealt with that with Caleb Kelly last year. You know, I mean, that was kind of an ongoing conversation, and Caleb ultimately decided, kind of like Jalen did, that he wanted to do what's best for a team, and we probably don't win the Big 12 championship without him. So there's a lot of great examples back and forth. Not ever one right answer, but we always try to have a good, open, honest conversation with our guys about it when it does come up.
Eric Bailey?
Lincoln, how important is it to have experienced running backs in the backfield with Jalen as he becomes acclimated? And do you anticipate a lot of those guys in that room getting a lot of touches in these first few weeks?
Yeah, no, it's certainly helpful. You know, we've got some experienced guys back there. We've got depth. We've got talent. I mean, it's a good room. I mean, without a doubt, and it does help. It does help. Just it helps on communication. It helps on, you know, guys that have been in the fire, have been in this system, guys that we think are going to be pretty tough for people to tackle. And so absolutely, it makes a big difference. And you can see, you know, those guys starting to get pretty comfortable with Jalen right now, which is a good thing.
I see a lot of those guys possibly getting early touches in these first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, for us, we've normally played between 2 and 3 backs, you know, in games. And so, but I also will say I don't know that we've had depth at running back, you know, like we have on this current team, which is a great situation to be in. So, you know, we like the skill level in there. There's easily 4, maybe 5 guys in that room that we'd have no problem giving a good share of carries at any point this season.
Okay, over here, Myron Patton.
What have you seen defensively? I'm sure a game teaches you some things you can't see in practice and scrimmages, but has there been anything you've seen like in the scrimmages that maybe you want to see it translate to a real game where, you know, fans in the stands, things of that nature, a positive thing that would improve?
Oh, yeah, there's been a lot of positives. I mean, it's again, the way we've flown around to the football, the way we've aggressively attacked the ball, you know, are probably at the top of my list right now. I love the mentality our group has, and like you said, it's getting ready to get tested in some different ways, and it's going to have to continue to grow and adapt. But I like that, and then I like there's kind of a, I don't know, to me, a little bit more sense of a brotherhood on that side of the ball right now. I'm not saying it was missing in the last few years. I just feel that group maybe bonded together a little bit tighter right now, which is always a great thing. So I'm excited to see how that translates to our play and how that gives us leadership and camaraderie throughout this year, because it is a long, tough, demanding year. So I like where the group's head's at right now. I'm certainly excited. I'm as excited to see them play as any single person out there. But I like where we're headed.
Okay, stay up here, Glenn Brockovich.
Lincoln, you talked a little bit earlier about at the beginning of the press conference. You talked a little bit about really excited about this opportunity to be able to play on Sunday night. It's really rare when you have literally no other football game, college, pro, whatever, going on at that time, and it would be Labor Day weekend. You guys will literally have the spotlight kind of all to yourself. What sort of opportunity do you think that provides for this university, not just the football program, but for people to be able to look on TV, home with family, and see Norman and see 87,000, 97,000 people?
It provides exposure for this university, for our community, for our state, that honestly, it's hard to get it on any other level like that. I mean, in anything else, it's we understand the value that this program brings to this area and to this school. We know we're just a part of it, but we know that as far as exposure and putting eyes on Oklahoma and so many people's, kind of first impression of Oklahoma will be what they see from our football team. We get that, and so want it to be positive, want it to be fun, exciting. It's an important night for us for so many reasons, for our program, for our city, for our university, for so many reasons. So we take pride in hopefully getting this year off to a great start with it.
Okay, Jenny Carlson.
Speaking of pride, Lincoln, I know you go down into the Houston area to recruit. I'm kind of curious what you've heard from Houston area people about the fact you have Jalen now. I assume that there's sort of a Jalen Hurts mystique down there, but what do coaches, what do players say, if anything, about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think, a deep respect for him among Houston. You certainly feel it more there just because guys that coached against him or, know his father or just know about him. I mean, they take pride certainly in him being from that area. But honestly, it's anywhere I go, I think there's such a deep respect for how he's handled his career up to this point that anywhere you go, people ask about him and are, impressed by the kid. So, but this certainly doesn't hurt in that area. We've had, you really kind of think about it in the last 3 years, we probably had the biggest name to come out of the Austin area in a long time. We've had the biggest name to come out of the Dallas area in a long time, and now one of the bigger names to come out of the Houston area in a long time that have played quarterbacks for us in 3 consecutive years. So that lines up pretty good.
We'll go to Colin Kennedy in the back.
Yeah, Lincoln, obviously a lot of people are interested in this matchup because your defense gets to go up against a very high-powered offense. But at the same time, are you interested in the prospect of your offense potentially having to go out and continuously match the production of an opposing team's offense, similar to how it went last time you played Coach Hogerson out there?
I just don't think of it like that. I mean, it's two sides of the ball. We certainly want to be able to build off each other's momentum and grow. But we're not offensively. We're not playing against another team's offense. Defensively, we're not playing against another team's defense. You got your matchups out there, and for us to win the game, we got to win a few more of them than our opponent does. And so we're just going to try to do the very best job we can on all 3 sides of the ball, and hopefully we can get some momentum going our way and get on a run where those sides are complementing each other, and that's when we play our best ball. So that'll be our goal.
Time for just a couple more. Ryan Aber.
Lincoln, earlier you touched on recruiting when you're listing off the positives of this Sunday night game. Specifically with that, how big is the advantage of recruiting given the guys you can bring in here on Sunday night that maybe would have choices to make otherwise? And also just the fact that everybody's going to be watching this game around the country. Yeah,
no, that was when Joe Castiglione first brought this up to me. That was one of the first things that popped in my mind was the opportunity, for recruiting. You're going to have tremendous weather. You're going to have time to, a lot of times for a Saturday kickoff, to get recruits here from a Friday night game, especially when you recruit all over the country like we do. That's challenging. The 11 o'clocks are basically impossible for most of them, and so to be able to get all the kids we want here, to be able to get a lot of them home on Monday, and plenty of time to be at their high school practices that next afternoon. For the atmosphere, it's going to be, like you said, the exposure we're going to have. We'll have a ton of unofficial guys that come in just because, like you said, there's nowhere else for them to go, and they don't have school Monday morning, obviously, either. So it fits great. I mean, it really does. It fits great. We got a great group of official visitors coming in, and expect to have a lot more great unofficials, and the rest will be watching on TV at home. So it's a great time for us to showcase our program.
Yeah, Coach, a couple of parts here. First of all, what do you remember most about the 2016 loss? And then also, is that a game that you use as kind of a teaching point in terms of being prepared for your opener?
What I remember most, we played awful. Not much more than that. There's certainly teaching moments. I mean, when you play a good team in the opener, you can't do things like we did in that game. We turned the ball over, had an enormous special teams mistake in that game. We gave up a ton of third downs defensively. Had a lot of missed opportunities against a good football team that day that we didn't do very well. And so it's certainly going to be a challenge. I mean, there's no doubt this is a really good football team coming in here, and think our guys know that. I think our guys have a healthy respect for Houston and the players they have, the coaches they have, and know that we need to play very well.
We're going to close with Al.
Defensive line, your thoughts, and what players have made a great jump from a year ago on the defensive line?
Yeah, probably the position group I'm probably most excited to see play. Sunday night, if I had to pick one, that's the depth there is different, and we're certainly going to rotate a lot of guys. A lot of guys have shown us that they're able and ready to play. Certainly excited about the noses, between Neville and Q Overton, Dylan Famatal, those guys, possibly a couple of the young guys. I mean, that's a old group that's been around here for a while that I think a lot of those guys have trimmed down weight-wise. They're in a great, probably the best shape of their life, and just excited about what we're doing with those guys right now. They've been extremely productive, really the entire camp. I think Ronnie Perkins has made a nice jump here in camp, really done a nice job for us. LaRon Stokes, excited to see him play, excited to see Jalen Redmond play. We're going to throw a couple of those puppies in there and see what they look like. But early indications are that front seven group that we signed has got a chance to be a pretty nice group. So, and I'm honestly probably leaving a guy or two out, but it's that kind of group right now. We got a lot of players in there. We got a lot of guys that can play, and I think we're going to be able to keep them fresh. And they've been certainly one of the more impressive groups on the team throughout this fall camp, and I expect to see that Sunday night.